This is our content, sponsored by Geographics Media.
I'm a liar, barely feel remorse. I'm a cheater, letting my nature take its course.
Let's go.
Yo, Jay, I was just thinking, bro. I was thinking just the other day about uh our last few episodes that we've covered. We've talked about um distractions. Episodes prior to us talking about the distractions, we talked about things that people um the reasons why people don't go for their God-given purpose. And we narrowed it down to our beliefs. We feel like it's because of distractions, fear of some sort, uh self-management, and lack of discipline. But I just been thinking, man, fear is such a big word. And I'm looking forward tonight to just dive in and just talk about it. So, I mean, how's it going, bro?
Well, since we're talking about fear, and I'm doing pretty good. I mean, I was a little fearful when I saw your hoodie. I mean, I was concerned. I mean, I know the dark side has taken over. I understand, and I'm just happy to be here. And hopefully, you won't force choke me through the screen while we discuss fear, because that would be a very fearful moment. Maybe you might have to in order to drive home the point of our subject matter tonight. So do it.
Well, he's Big J, the Wonder Kid. Me, this is Step, aka Sincere Wisdom, aka the energetic Enigma from E Town, and now suddenly Darth Stephius. And since we going with the whole dark side Emperor thing,
Sincere wisdom. Sincere wisdom.
Sincere Wisdom. I'm going with that. Jay, I'm so happy that this episode is starting light, man, because our last episodes we've dove into a lot of stuff, and we've actually let our emotion. We've shown the listener our emotions, and really we've delved into some stuff that we hadn't talked about and ever with our personal stuff and some of the stuff that we've been through, man. But in reaching one's God-given purpose, man, we've talked about how distractions are major, bro. But fear. Lately, man, I've been just thinking about fear. Fear's just is huge. False evidence appearing real is the acronym that a lot of theologians use, or just people to talk about it, or to just to pretty much forget everything and run. Or we're the type of people that's we over the years have begun to face everything and rise. Just several different FEAR acronyms that we employ in our lives. But man, fear it prevents so much for so many if we allow it to rise over the faith that we have. When you have fear over faith, it can stagnate so many things. And you and I, we've talked about Peter getting off the boat and becoming afraid and beginning to sink. And it's so true, in our everyday lives. Fear is so big. It's amazing to me, but then again, not really. The things that people feared. I once upon a time thought that people were just afraid to try, and that is a certain aspect. For some, they're afraid to try. But when you start talking to people and just looking at certain things, you start understanding why so many people are even afraid to try. And I was so naive to it when we first started talking about it, and I want to apologize to the listener because when we speak, we talk about stuff that we've experienced or stuff that we've talked to other people about and they've experienced and we've been in it with them and just stuff that we see every day. I just want to point out to the listener that we are strong believers. We're not pastors. We're not preachers. We're not apostles. We're not any of that. We're strong believers that have uh, a strong love for what people go through, and we want to understand how we can be of assistance and say something positive to encourage the listener. Jay, what do you think, man, about fear? Because we all have it. All of us face it. All of us experience fear. What is a fearful moment
Well,
to
I mean,
you?
I'll say this: fear is just something that's natural, and we're supposed to have it because it kind of is kind of goes hand in hand with pain and caution and stuff like that. So the only thing about caution and pain response is that that's more or less experience, something that has happened, your reaction or response to something that has happened, an external sensation that causes discomfort. Whereas fear sometimes is not even associated with something that we know. It's just the thought of something bad happening, and we don't even know if that's going to happen or not. It's just I would say a severe, extreme sense of doubt, or I think that's what gets people is we always talk about the fear of the unknown because we people walk around in fear over something that may not ever even happen. Sometimes people are just walking around afraid. They don't even know what they're afraid of. They're just afraid to do something, afraid to move forward, afraid of uh, breaking a sweat, working hard or whatever. So we can't let that get us down because quite honestly, right before you ever really achieve anything that's outside of your comfort zone and that's going to be a serious level up, you're going to at some point have to deal with some type of fear, something that you've been avoiding, something that you just have not wanted to deal with. And it might be something really, really, really small when you really start dealing with it. But like I said, the unknown, will take you out, and that's crazy. That's something we don't even know will take us out. Versus, I've seen people get mad at somebody that they know or somebody on the street and walk right up to them and try to fight them or do whatever to them. Just something that they know, but then they'll be freaking uh, scared to go to school or or scared to apply for a job or afraid to uh, 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 try to be like a better parent, or just something like that. They'll be so afraid of all these things that they think, for some reason or another, that it's programmed in their mind, in their spirit, that they can't achieve or they can't deal with these things. But 9 times out of 10, you're going to have to deal with at least some aspect of those things in order to move forward and to move up in life. If you're a truly progressive thinker, fear has to be something that it might be there, but it's not going to stop you from pursuing whatever your life goal is.
You're gonna face it and you're gonna rise. It brings me to a story that
Right.
just you talking about how somebody walked up on somebody and tried to fight him. I saw somebody do that one time. He rode up on the guy at the crib and he rode up on this guy, not naming any names. He tried to fight him. Yo, it was right there in the projects on top of the hill, b. Like
Right.
he rolled up on the dude,
Makes sense.
and
Yeah.
old boy was like, he had this weird voice, this high pitch. He kicked the boy in the stomach, man. That boy fell across the man.
Dang.
But yeah, man, it was hilarious. But that was he scared of you. Damn, this kid, and he granted when he kicked him, but he he rolled down the hill, and that was an
Sound like
example.
Prince when he slapped the what's the name? Prince was real out of character when he slapped that woman.
He
He was real
really
hard.
was. He really
He was
was.
getting real. He was going off on his dad for being abusive to his mom, and he turned around and did the same thing.
Fear. Because if you go back to that situation, his pops had been, hurt, by in music, I think, if I remember correctly, by love and everything else. You have a girlfriend. Man, peace to Clarence Williams III. But that
was his dad.
Yeah, all of that was just like fear-based stuff. And in the situation where old boy kicked his adversary in the stomach and kicked him down that hill, he was rising to the occasion. He couldn't, and it was at a girl's house, so he wasn't gonna go out like that. But he faced it in the stomach, and
he did a good job.
He did. He kicked him real hard, man, and he kicked him with everything he had, and they were still cool later. You know what I mean? But it's you had to be there.
You might as well be cool if somebody with a high voice jump up and kick you in your midsection or whatever.
Yeah, he kicked him in the solar plexus.
A high voice.
and he fell down the hill, but he faced that fear because prior to that he was kind of running from the guy. And I can't say that he was afraid of him. He just was afraid of confrontation. He didn't want to fight. He was afraid of having a negative consequence in that situation. But fear, man, is such a big word because it in some facets it's powerful because in some facets of it, it'll prevent us from doing stuff that we know that we need to do to get into our purpose. On the other hand, fear makes us do something that we should not do because we're just trying to survive. It's amazing to me the two sides. Well, I'm not gonna say two, multiple sides of fear. We talk now about how we can face everything and rise, but looking back on it, it's us talking from where we are right now in life. We've had situations where we were terrified of stuff. We were terrified to do certain stuff. Now you were stronger in this aspect of it. You have always out of us at home, you and Buffalophagus, y'all were just fearless when we were younger. With the stuff that I was carrying with me at that time in our lives, and even to a certain degree now, I went through life afraid to make a misstep. If I make a wrong step, this happens. So we talk about people with the fear of success for whatever reason it is, because they got people that they got to take care of. They got people that are gonna probably try to use them. They're gonna have to have more responsibility, and people don't want that to a certain degree. But on the flip side of it all, we have to look at it like sometimes people are afraid to succeed because they have a fear of losing what they've gained. That too prevents people from going into their God-given purpose, I think, too. That's another facet of fear to me. I mean, what's your take on it, B?
You mean like losing what, kind of like cutting weight in order to...
No. That's a necessity.
To move forward?
That's a necessity. Right. And sometimes people are afraid to do that, and we covered that too, but I'm talking about, here comes a Rocky reference. I got to do a Rocky reference. When Adrian and Rocky were arguing on the beach, he said these words. At first, I didn't care about getting beat up, knocked out, whatever. He didn't have a fear of that. His fear was, I don't want to lose what I got. Quote, I don't want to lose what I got. Now I got you, I got the kid, I got the house, I got all of this stuff that I have worked so hard for. I'm afraid that I'm going to lose it. So a lot of people are afraid to even try because they don't want to deal with that loss. And that goes to your point in the same vein of fearing the unknown.
If he was that afraid, he shouldn't have let what's his name handle his handle his business. I'd have been more afraid of that than anything else. What's his name? Paulie. I would have been. That's honestly what he should have feared the most, was letting that joker handle your business, because you never let a broke person handle your business unless that person is broke and they're like, because y'all just grew up broke and he's studying finance or something like that. But even then, you don't put him fully in charge.
Correct. But see, in that situation, he didn't even see it coming, because that and again, you were talking about the dark side, Darth Stephius, but, but you were talking about the dark side, but it's a shroud. You don't see certain things coming. That was the furthest thing from his mind. And again, people are afraid to even try, because if they succeed in certain aspects of it, they don't want to lose it. If you are broke today and you use your head, now I'm not talking about people, and people have this argument all the time about people that have been broke their whole lives, and then they come into a whole bunch of money, they blow it all, and then they back poor again. I'm not talking about that person per se, because I don't think they really have a fear of losing. They just have they don't think that it's going to ever stop coming. They think that it's going to just keep coming forever and forever, and they just they don't look for the payday to run out.
Yeah, or they just never had anything, so they don't know how to manage.
They don't know how to
anyway.
Correct. And so I'm talking about the person who's been broke their whole life. They worked hard. They've learned some stuff along the way, and they are just to the point where they don't want to touch it, because we're gonna lose it. We don't ever want to be back to where we were.
Right.
And a lot of times that thought in and of itself is the very thought that kind of stops them. It makes them stagnant. Because they have a fear of losing it.
Yeah, I mean, if it's somebody who didn't have something, then they finally have a little something, and then they could take the big leap and have a whole lot of something.
Right.
I could understand how they would be very cautious, but especially if by how they accumulated what they currently have, if they got it without ever really consulting with anyone else, and they kind of just just kind of, I'm not gonna say do it on their own, but they really didn't have a lot of the people that were closest to them contribute like that, unless it was like, a good word, well wishing, or something like that. But actually going in, knowing how to do something, doing the work, being in those situations, they did it all by themselves. I could kind of understand why a person would be like that, because they've kind of developed their own, system, of doing things, and it's worked to a certain, degree, a certain level, where at least they can provide for themselves and a few people around them, and they're okay. Now it might be something out there that they are supposed to do even greater than that, and that it could be them trying to hold on to, like Lot when he was trying to he was concerned about him and his wife. They were, especially her, they were concerned about their house and their property where they were at when it was time for them to leave, and and the instructions were to not look back.
Correct.
Because it's like you focus too much on, if you focus so much on what's behind you or what you're leaving, you're not gonna. I think, to me, is representation of a person not being fully committed to moving forward. Even if they're in that direction, they're not putting the energy like they need to push forward, because they're still thinking about what's going on behind them. And so and that can ruin you, because you're still focusing on that. Like even when the time gets hard ahead of you, you'd be like, man, I could have just not did all this and just stayed back, where I was, and did this and that. because that complaining and wanting some level of comfort and familiarity and normalcy, in an environment where you're still trying to figure things out to move forward, or you're just in a season of waiting, of patience and preparation. And I think that happens sometimes where you look back. That's why the word was like, don't look back. And she was still so overly concerned with what they had because they were well to do where they were.
Mm-hmm.
You see what I'm saying? So Lot was doing good, where he was, and he had his stuff together a lot better than everyone else. So he kind of was like, dang, I gotta pack up and go. And then his wife was really like that. But I understand because they probably didn't have a lot, and they were like of good standing where they were. But where they were was such a shady and shaky environment that they needed to go because it was something else. It was more that they were going to have to do, and they needed to get out of that corrupted place
Right.
onto somewhere else. And if everything wasn't going down or being destroyed around them, they would have never left. And it almost had to be something catastrophic in order for them to even get up and go. And sometimes God moves like that. A lot of times,
A lot of
like
times.
that, He'll just be like, "Look now, yeah, like I'm telling you now. Either I'm prepping you for what's about to happen, or I'm just telling you because I got something I want you to do, and just don't don't have such an emotional connection to where you currently are or what you currently think you have, because all this stuff can come and go. I got something else I need for you to do, and I might need you to give this to someone else. It might just be your uh, generosity being tested. It might be time for you to give up something, because God wants you to have something else, and your time with what you had is done. It could be a house, it could be a relationship, it could be money. It could be all kind of stuff. It could be a job. Your time is done. So God knows us. If you're not willing to go, if you got this fear or attachment, if you got this fear of moving forward and this attachment to what you currently have or to the past, sometimes you'll just have to get, you know, kicked in the butt, nudged a little bit, some fire put underneath you to move forward. I have a friend right now who I work with who is trying to move forward in a different type of career, and he's had to have some things happen in his life to make him seriously consider it, because he was kind of doing it, kind of pursuing it, kind of not, kind of being caught up in the moment and everything that's around him, and the vision of what he wanted to do in the future was kind of always taking a back burner to everything else. But then when everything else started working against him, he started looking more like towards, okay, this is what I need to be doing. So I think that's a good thing, being made uncomfortable. So you have to juggle being uncomfortable versus your fear, because being uncomfortable can get so bad that you can't bear it. So you gotta go, and you
Right.
really don't want it to get to that point. You want to just go ahead and go. But some people are. I think depending on how stubborn you are, or you know how possessive you are, or whatever you have, or whatever power it has over you, that's how hard you're gonna have to be. That's how uncomfortable it's gonna match how uncomfortable you're gonna be in order for you to let it go.
Correct. And you were mentioning Lot and his wife, and looking back, and you've never seen any great motivational speaker or inspirational speaker that did not use the analogy of the rearview mirror versus the windshield. The windshield is big so you can see what's in front of you, but the rearview mirror is small so
Mm-hmm.
you can see what's behind you, and you only see it temporarily because you keep it moving. It becomes a thing of the past. And again, a lot of times, to your point, a lot of people are afraid to leave what is familiar to them. And
Mm-hmm.
and biblically, God say, don't look back, keep it moving. Trust me, I got you. Keep your eyes on me. We're gonna be all right. Let me guide you. And we a lot of times get caught up in, again, what we're leaving behind, which is not much of anything. I asked somebody once upon a time, if you have a if you leave your house and you know that you're going to go into something better. You know it for a fact. Once I get from point A to point Z, I'm going to get to point Z and flourish. Everything is going to be fantastic. Everything's going to be good.
Right.
But while you're taking that walk from A to Z, you got people spitting on you. You got people throwing
Mm.
rocks at you. You got people
Wow.
beating you up. And you finally get to point Z. You're covered in blood. You covered in spit. You covered in sweat and tears. Everything is on you, B. Are you gonna turn around and go back through all of that because you left $1 sitting on your nightstand?
Nah, I need to go take a bath.
Oh, you walking into better, but I got to go back and get $1, and I got everything
Right.
here for me right now. And that's what it is to people. Think about it like this: instead of physical rocks, physical spit, and physical stuff, look at it verbally. So you know that if you leave this point and get to this point, you got some stuff, some discomfort that you got to go through, but you cool with it. You're going to face it and you're going to rise. You know it's going to come. You're prepared for it to come. But what happens to a lot of people is it comes from places where they didn't expect it. So the people that you leaving, they're going to talk about you real bad. And I talked about this. I talked about this before. Don't be trying to do something, don't try to be doing something real good, because people in your camp, people that you think cool with you, people from your neighborhood, in a lot of cases, oh, you selling out. But because I'm choosing to do something that you're not, doesn't make me a sellout. It makes me somebody who is driven. Don't take my drive and try to dog me for it. But some people can't handle that. So again, it kicks this fear to them, whereas they feel they're gonna again lose what they never had. Lose people that people are so worried about. A lot of people, not all people, but many people are so concerned about their immediate community, how they're going to be looked at or frowned upon. They just stay there with the rest of the situation where people are miserable, not because they can't do, but in a lot of cases they just won't do, they don't do, or they get scared and just stop. And then they have all of this anger or all of this resentment that they'll throw off on people if those people allow it to happen. Fear is a big word, man. Distractions or a dream killer. We talked about that before, but fear in and of itself, man, will just prevent you from doing a lot of stuff, or force you to do some other stuff. It could be a good thing forcefully or a bad thing forcefully. I thank God that our discomfortable situations have forced us to propel ourselves and do stuff. Man, it's now the time we plug these mics in, where right before we start, I feel a little anxious and I feel just a little bit of fear. But hey, nervous for a second, but the record starts spinning, then I fall into the state of matter what I just created. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I feel like, yo, once we plug in, I don't care, bro. Because we playing this for so long. This is what we're supposed to do, and we're doing stuff out of love, out of goodness, and not bashing people by any stretch of the imagination. We just want to tell our story or our experiences and try to help people realize they're not by themselves. Whatever you feeling, you're not the only one. We feel it, and everybody else, whether they admit it or not, feel it too. It's just, I think that we have to do better at educating ourselves about the different pitfalls that can come with trying to achieve anything that is positive, and especially when you're trying to do something towards what you believe is your God given purpose. Because there's nothing easy about that. Like it is,
Right.
you're happy once you get there, but you're tested along the way, um,
Mm-hmm.
in ways that you would not believe, in ways you
Right.
would not believe. It goes to say with our last recording, everything happened when we were trying to record, and it's like, okay, we have something to say. It's gonna
Mm-hmm.
happen, but it wasn't time for us to do it at that point. It wasn't time for us
Right.
to do it. Now we're in a situation where we're doing it right now because we're comfortable, and we're growing to the point where we realize that somebody who is supposed the people or person who is supposed to hear this, they're here, and it'll help.
Mm-hmm.
You feel what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Yo,
Mm-hmm.
we got to take a break, man. We got to pause for the calls for a second, so you can come on and give your thanks for looking at our content. Be back shortly.
Hey, it's Jason Thomas, aka Big J. I just wanted to say thank you all for supporting our content. We put a lot of love and effort into what we do, and I just want to say thank you all who watch us, who support us. We appreciate you guys. Thank you. Peace.
All right, man, we're back. Um, and just talking some more about fear. And Jay is just annoying to a certain degree to me. When I feel fear at this point in my life, because I know what it is. I know what
Mm-hmm.
it is. I know what it's designed to do. And it's
Mm-hmm.
annoying, but still it puts you in a situation where you try to figure out, should you or should you not. It makes you question what you
Yeah.
know you need to do in a lot of cases.
Right.
It's annoying to a certain degree, but necessary to grow. You are a big person in that regard, that talk about how we have to experience certain things in order to grow. And you, my friend, I watched you face your fears and grow. You one of the toughest people I know in life, and you're one of the most resilient too. So
Mm-hmm.
I'm happy that I get an opportunity to talk to you about certain stuff, learn from you with a lot of stuff, teach you in some regards as well, because I know we both get lessons from each other. But I'm happy that we are together trying to
Right.
share our thoughts, our beliefs, our content with the people who want to hear it. So I mean, I'm super happy about that. But you know fear is one of the things that leads to the dark side again, forcing you to do stuff
Mm-hmm.
that you know you shouldn't do, because it
Mm-hmm.
appears like life is easier when it's really not.
Mm-hmm.
you know what are you feeling?
Yeah. I mean, hey man, to be honest with you, I was literally having this conversation with someone week, last weekend, and I was saying that for me, and I appreciate the compliments and all that, but honestly, everything that I've ever done in life has always been motivated by. I've been motivated by trying to help the people around me, like my friends, my brothers, um, my parents, and just people in general, community, people I care about.
Same here.
Because honestly, yeah, I'm not a people talk about like this is a funny term, but love languages and all that kind of stuff,
Mm.
like how you show how you care about people and all that stuff. Mine has never really been like saying it. It's always been like you'll know, if I care about a friend or somebody because of what I do, and I might be gruff sometimes or whatever, but at the end of the day, people know that this dude, if I'm going hard to do something like a project, like something we're doing, like what we're doing now, or anything, whether it's art related, music, spiritually related. It's because I really, really, really just like to. I want the people around me to be good.
Right.
And so my motivation ain't never really. It's always been. It's never really been about me. It's always kind of been. Most of the time, it's been about just trying to help other people. So I tend to go the hardest when I feel like I have other people I'm trying to help, not impress, not show off to, but just truly want to see them in some way or another go to the next level, or have some type of security or something that they might need, to get them to the next level. So even if it's just being a bridge, from here to there, or being that, then that's just how I am. So anything I do is for love of my daughter, my family, and my friends, and just people in general. It's all love for me. So, and love, it doesn't really have fear like that, or at least it'll make you. It'll give you some courage, somewhere in facing it, because you realize that you dealing with certain things, me dealing with certain things, is much, much more important than me folding under
Right.
some fear that I can't even truly justify.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like you can't. A lot of times our fears, like I was saying earlier, man, we cannot justify some of the stuff that we allow us to allow to paralyze us and stop our feet from walking forward. It ain't even the fear. It can't be as important. It can't hold precedence over what's truly important. And
Because
once
a
we
lot of
get to
time,
that,
it's a
go
lot
ahead.
of time it's manufactured though. Like if you find people who are
Yeah.
fearful of certain stuff, it's all most of the time, not every time, most of the time somebody's in their ear. Most I think a lot of times the fear that people feel in some cases or in most cases is because somebody else gave it to them. Well, this happened to me. You don't want to do that. If you do this, this gonna happen to you. You might want to not. And sometimes,
It be people
yeah,
that we love. It be parents, grandparents, aunts,
friends,
uncles, friends, people, teachers. People at school. Sometimes it could even be like a guidance counselor or something. It could be somebody who may actually have good intentions, because they feel like they're shielding you or protecting you from, something bad happening to you. But at the end of the day, what may have happened to them, if they're basing it on their own experience, it might not have been for them. You know what I'm saying? So it's not always about. And then a lot of times they don't even know. They just be saying stuff. Be
right,
like, man, you don't know what you talking about. I'm gonna do what I got to do, man. Like
right,
it ain't about consulting people about moving forward, man.
right. It
You
is,
do to a certain extent, but
and
yeah.
it's, and so I think that a lot of times in people's mind they set up these, they get conditioned to believe that certain things are gonna happen. Conditioning is real.
Mhm.
Conditioning is real, b.
Yeah.
It, it,
Mhm.
and and sometimes when you're dealing with people that are conditioned to a certain degree, it's annoying as crap because they don't want to. They don't. You can't tell
Mhm.
them anything good. You can't show them anything good in
Right.
in a lot of the cases that I've experienced. You can try to, you know, you can give them a chocolate pie and they won't trust it for whatever reason. A person that they
Right.
trust, who is 9 times out of 10 non-trustworthy, would give them a pie shell full of mud and they'll eat it like it's pie. And it can be
Mhm.
gritty and terrible, but they is because they trust this source. They're not looking at the
Right.
destruction that's coming upon them mentally, physically, emotionally, in some cases
Mhm.
too. And again, they stay in that little ball of fear, and nothing can
Mhm.
penetrate that, man. Nothing can penetrate that uh, at
Mhm.
all, regardless of how hard you try.
It stifles them. It
Correct.
stifles them. And
Correct.
it actually it stunts their growth because
Right.
I'm gonna tell you one thing that fear does. Fear does one of the same things that crack does to crackhead. You know how when
Mm-hmm. I
you
know where you're
you you
going.
can tell you can tell when what era a crackhead started using abusing crack by you can look at the stuff they talk about, how they look, how they carry themselves is like a time capsule. They're stuck in that period where they first started doing it,
Right.
and it could have been the 80s, the 90s, whatever era, whatever period that it happened in. Their 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 brain, their mind won't let them move forward into modern time. They could have lost all their teeth. Their hair could have had gone out. They could have lost a lot of weight. They could look real crazy. They could have gotten some illness or something like that. But when you look at them and talk to them, they are their mind is stuck in it because that was two things happened when they made that decision to do what they did. They felt the best they ever felt in their entire life from the rush that they got from taking what they took, and then they let everything go in pursuit of feeling like that again, and they never
Mm-hmm.
felt like that again.
Right.
So they're stuck in that era. Fear does the same thing because whatever your fear of the unknown, fear of moving forward, does the same thing because whatever stop you from moving forward, you still be stuck on that. Whatever has taken your mind or whatever you've given so much energy to, or whatever is owning you to the point to where you can't see past that to move forward. That's where you're going to be stuck. And it could have been you could have been 8 years old when somebody put that fear in you, and you'll revert back to that 8-year-old person, seeing this other person, whether it was an adult or whatever. You're looking up like I'm afraid. You're looking for their permission to move forward. That person could have forgot what they said. That person could be dead and gone.
Correct.
You know what I'm saying? But you still are holding on to that fear, and so it's about not allowing people or things or events, have that much power over you, and you
Right.
got you got to go for it, man, because that, like I said, that fear it will paralyze you, it will stop you in your track. But I have noticed that people who get caught up like that, it's just like crackheads. They'll be stuck in that era or that time, and they'll keep going over those things over and over. They'll keep reminiscing. They'll keep thinking about this or that. They ain't got nothing new. You know what I'm saying? It's
Right.
always reminiscing. Well, I remember this happened. I remember this person wouldn't let me do this. This person wouldn't help me in this situation. I can't get ahead. I can't. It's like, man, if you don't let that junk go, and whatever got a hold on you, you better move on and
And,
uh and,
and
and, and live your
correct.
life.
In both situations, whether it's like, paralyzing fear or drug usage, for that matter, it's about finding the root. You have to find the
Mm-hmm.
root. You have to find what the root cause is and fix it, because like everything just spreads off and go into different directions. This is a lot to break fear, because again, in some situations, fear is an addiction too. In my
Mm-hmm.
in my humble opinion, some people are addicted to fear. They fear everything. I'm afraid to catch up. Like people, there's some real fears out there. Um, yeah, I knew a girl that was
That's,
afraid. I knew somebody afraid to catch up. Like seriously, it was a real fear. Like pull some ketchup out if you want to. Seriously, pull some ketchup out. She was about like me when it comes to big birds. I'm on nymphophobia. It's a real fear. She was
yeah, bird
terrified.
can be dangerous though. Ketchup is not dangerous unless you have
If you
an
fear it,
allergy to it or
if you
something.
fear it, you fear it. Like I never asked why. I don't know if some ketchup monster attacked her in her sleep at 5. I don't know. I don't know. I just made sure I respected that because it was a real fear. That's a big monster to some people. Fear is one of those things, man, that we can talk till we blue in the face about it until you discover the root of that fear. It will continue to present itself in different forms, different ways, and it would keep you sidelined if you're not careful. It would prevent you from getting into your purpose. I don't want the listener to think that we just got it all together, but we just two guys that we step out. We step out and see what's gonna happen. I don't want people to think that we do this for likes or we do this so we can be popular on social media. We don't care about that. Again, the people that need to hear us, they'll look it up and say, man, you guys said something that I needed to hear. And you know, we want people to understand that they're not alone, man. And I mentioned that earlier. We want people to understand that. And yeah, you're right. It's the same type of things, man, with anything that we latch to. It's like trying to push a kid into the pool who can't swim. We're gonna hold on to anything. We're gonna hold on to anything and everything and fight to hold on to those things just so we will not have to take that plunge to grow. Once I hit this, but a lot of people, once they let go and dive in, they Michael Phelps in this piece, but but just holding on to it for dear life because they have a fear of the unknown. They don't know what's going to happen. They've heard horror stories, and you got somebody again who's putting stuff in their head or letting them see certain things that make them not want to try. My aunt was saying today that she's thinking about a cruise, and she's like, I can go. Lost my uncle a few weeks ago, and my aunt was talking about, I might travel a little bit now because he didn't want to fly or he didn't want to, get on a boat or anything like that. And I actually talked to him about it one time. He's like, man, it's a lot happening out there. I'm like, you have to live, man. You have to live. You have to live.
I mean, you said going on a cruise. I mean, the likelihood of you having something bad happen to you while you driving is
more of it. Correct.
The likelihood of you having on a cruise.
B.
So, I mean, that's the thing that get me.
It's a control thing. When people driving, they have this false sense of they're in control, and it's not the truth. I can't drink all that water. I can't fly. They're playing for. I mean, but people feel like they're in control, and I mean, again, that fear of not being in control because something happened to me that I couldn't control.
Yeah,
so,
and like we were talking about distractions, like fear and distractions just go hand in hand because
they do.
People will, a person who is afraid and who won't stand up to it at any point, who won't try to get past it, they will actually latch on to distractions so to give them an excuse to wallow in their fear, and you actually become a servant to fear,
a slave to
after a while. But yeah,
a slave to it.
You
it's
let
a difference.
You are a slave to it if you're letting it tell you where you can and can't go and what you can and can't attempt to do in life. You are totally a slave to it because that's what a slave master does. He or she says, go over there, don't go over here, do this until I tell you to stop, and never really give you any sense of independence or freedom. It's always, their foot on your neck, their knee on your neck, and not allowing you to break free of it. It's a huge control thing, and even when there's nothing for you to do, it's like fear will say, okay, well, even if fear doesn't give you any instructions, the one instruction will always stay like, don't do that, don't go. So people start to give fear a personality, so to speak. they start it starts to have a take form in their lives. You have people, man, they're so afraid to go to move forward in certain directions. They don't even like to have conversations about the things that they want to do, and that's sad. Like they won't even entertain a conversation, engage in a conversation about anything that could be that could point them in a direction of where they could go, or what they can do, and they run from it. And so what happens is they don't even like to be around people who who they know will say, man, I see something in you. You could do this. You could do that. They'll get irritable, or they'll just get ghost. They won't be around
Yeah.
because they are so afraid, or just they don't want to hear it. They don't want to hear anything about it. And it's like, that's bad if that's the situation that a person has, that they don't even want to have any conversations about it. It's like at that point, that's like fear, laziness. That's a lot of
It's
things,
a lot.
taking over.
And you
Yeah.
said it. You said it, and it made me think about you talking about fear, a servant to distractions. But fear, as I mentioned earlier in this episode, people are, and you mentioned, looking back. People a lot of
Mhm.
times become slaves to what they see is loyalty.
Mhm.
A slave to loyalty. I'm not going to do this. I'm afraid to do this because my
Mhm.
friend is not doing it. I'm afraid to do this because I
Mhm.
don't want to go by myself. I'm afraid to do this because,
Yeah.
again, I might, you know, I know I need to work to get away to do stuff better, but
Mhm.
I'm afraid I won't have any friends. Or I'm afraid. I have talked to so many people and they give me so many different answers to certain questions. It's mind boggling how much people are slaves to whatever they feel their comfort zone is. Whatever they're holding on to keep from jumping in the pool, slaves
Mhm.
to it. Again, sometimes, and I do understand it because it we talk about our friendship all the time. We talk about our brotherhood all the time. We talk about the crew all the time. And we talk about how when we went along to our respective areas, we had people that reminded us of each other, this, that, and the third. And that helped too, because there was some familiarity in that, but in a good
Mhm.
way, because we still kind of pushed each other the same way that we
Right.
pushed each other from our home nucleus. Uh,
Mhm.
but it gets to be dangerous when people attach themselves to, they're the person who's driven, and they attach themselves to anchors and can't figure out
Mhm.
why they're not flying after that, and can't understand why the people that they trust the most are not trying to come with them, and they get afraid of that loneliness. Loneliness, to a certain
Mhm.
degree, has to become your best friend beside God first. Sometimes you have to be alone in
Mhm.
order to hear Him
Mhm.
and pray and
Yeah.
meditate and move forward. But fear creates fear creates delusion in a lot of minds as well. I feel is is
Mhm.
is conditioning is real. That's another episode. Conditioning is real, bruh.
Mhm.
Conditioning is real.
Mhm.
Conditioning is real. People can get their minds in a certain condition, a certain way, and it's hard. It is hard
Mhm.
for them to see outside of it. It's like, and whoever conditioned them and the people around them, and all of that like-mindedness sticks together. It's like
Yeah.
when people sing the national anthem
Yeah.
and they can't sing. They can't sing at all. But when they get to the last part, the land of the free, home of the brave part, and they hold that note, it can sound god awful in a lot of situations, and the crowd goes ham. It's that sound
Mhm.
conditioning. I'm supposed to do this, or certain singers who sang R&B in the 90s that were the most annoying people in the world, that sang one word from the diaphragm, and girls would go crazy, and it was god awful. The rest of the crew is, I love you, but you got him, I love you, and the crowd, one song from the diaphragm, one word, and the crowd conditioning. This sounded good, didn't it? No, it didn't. Fear is like that conditioning and that fear that go hand in hand. I'm supposed to think this way. Yes, that sounds good
Right.
because I'm told that at this part of the song, that's what I'm supposed to like. Because
Right.
people are afraid to think for themselves because it's outside of that conditioning. They don't want to follow what's outside that conditioning, and it's a fear to move past it, to go into their purpose. And I know, but yet again, I don't care. And talk in these episodes when we talk about a lot. We try to fit a lot into a little bit so we can kind of meander a little bit, but you get the point.